Oh, it's always great to talk to Chad Pinder, but even better to have him here on television where we can share him with you. And Chad, thank you so much for taking the time for us. And honestly, when you played that final game of last season with the A's, I had no idea that less than a year later we'd be talking to you here about your retirement as a player. How did you get to what was probably a difficult decision to make a couple weeks ago?
Honestly, it was a little easier than you'd think. Something that I thought about for a long time, and going back to even a full year ago, my heart wasn't there, and I felt like I always said to myself, like, if I feel like I can be more of an asset off the field than on it, then it's probably time to step away. My wife and we had our second child in December. I really missed those guys, and when everything wasn't what I thought it would be, I was started to lose a little bit of joy in the game, and I felt like I was not only cheating myself but my family, my teammates, the people around me, and that was the hardest part for me, because I left Rochester, I went to Gwinnett, and started having some success again. I can't thank the Braves enough. They took great care of me, and they really did help change my swing. And I was in Memphis, and my first two games there, I went 8 for 11 with 2 homers and 2 doubles, and I didn't have that fire and that love and that joy, and that's when it really hit me. Like, I thought about it for a while, but when that hit me, when I was just still searching for my why, it really hit me that my why was at home with my kids and my wife. So when that happened, I made the decision. I was like, look, I've done a lot in this game. I'm so blessed to do what I did, and the ability to be around such great people and grow up in the A's organization and the people that I've got to meet along the way. I feel like I checked almost every single box other than win a World Series in this game, and even got to play against my little brother in AAA in Memphis. Like, those are things that I couldn't even have dreamed of, and to play in 3 postseasons with the A's and to play with truly some of my best friends. Like, when I stopped having that joy and that why, it was time. I was cheating a lot of people, and there's so much more ahead of me in life, in this game, and with my family, that honestly, I was just, when I left Gwinnett and I was driving home, the peace that came over my body was just, it was something that I'd been searching for quite a while. So it wasn't as hard as you think.
Hey, Chad, when you look back on your career, there's got to be one single moment that stands out most for you in your accomplishments in the game, or maybe it wasn't an accomplishment in the game, just that moment. What is that moment that you remember best about playing Major League Baseball?
First thing that pops into my mind is in 2018 when we clinched for the first time. I'll never forget it, being in Seattle. If I remember correctly, I didn't start the game, but Bomel put me in at the end of the game to be a defense replacement, and he told me that he wanted me to be on the field when we clinched, and that meant more to me than you can ever imagine. And when we did that, they said we were going to come in 4th or 5th in the division, and then we won 97 games, and to be able to share that moment with the team and to pop bottles and to all the hard work, all the doubt that people had, it's just, and I genuinely mean this, like, your brothers, your best friends, the people that you're in the trenches with, that clubhouse that we had, man, like, it was so special. Like, it was for each other. It was never for the singular person. Being with those guys, that group, every second I had in the clubhouse with them, I jokingly say that if it was just the clubhouse, I think I could have played for 50 years, like it's, that part is the most beautiful part about the game for me. The cultures, the background, the different people, the personalities. That's what I'll miss the most. That's the only thing that, I may still crave about the game. It's a really, really special, 10 years in that organization that I'm extremely grateful for.
Well, there's a text thread, right, among players, now former players. Obviously, the A's very much broke up the band. The fact that that text thread between you guys still goes on, like, what should I take away from that?
Hey, honestly, that Oakland does do it the right way. They put together guys that mesh. Those groups that Billy and David and Finey put together for those years, they did an outstanding job. And really, I just sent out the text last night about our fantasy football group with Bass and Ole and Chap and Simeon and Blackburn and TK, and we still keep that, and that's 6 years, 5 years later. So these guys that we still keep in contact all the time. Like, it was just, we had a special group there. We really did.
And on that note, Chad, I know you're not a California product. I know you don't reside in this state right now, but you very much understand the Bay Area, coming up in this organization and playing a lot of years in Oakland. And you obviously are well aware of the team's intentions right now to relocate to Las Vegas. I don't want to put you on the spot. And again, I know you're disconnected from this right now.
Yeah.
Does it hit you any certain way?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Oakland is a special place. When I think about that, I think about not Coliseum, the relationships that I built there, and Mr. Gus down at the tunnel, and all the people that you come across. Like, they're just incredible people. You're leaving behind, legacy. You're leaving behind a community that is rich in history and baseball. I'll allude to this now, like the baseball, the players that come out of the Bay Area, I don't think that gets publicized enough. The talent, the better talent, and when you have the Giants and the A's, it's just a rich part of baseball. I think I could speak for a lot of people. Whether the move happens or not, it's out of a lot of people's control. But it's sad. It'll be a sad day for Oakland. It'll be a sad day for Oakland fans. But it's part of the business. I get it. My opinion doesn't truly matter. I'm not making the decisions, but I feel for the community. I feel for the people that work at the stadium. I feel for everybody that has been so tied and have given so much to the organization. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And, it's tough. It's a tough one.
I think we're allowed here to say that we don't want it to happen. We'll take that stance on it. Hey, so what's the game plan for you right now? I know you're up to some things. You very much kind of had a plan to retire from baseball. What's the next step? I know you're working on some things.
Yeah. Honestly, when I retired, I didn't know. I knew I'd be in the game in some capacity. I did know that I wasn't ready or wanting to be away from my family for 9-10 months. That was not an option. Being the reason why I wanted, if not the biggest reason why I stepped away. But the day I retired, I got a text from one of the agents in our group, and he kind of was like, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with you stepping away. But if you're serious about stepping away, like, I would love you to come work for us. So I've always been interested in the little intricacies of baseball and the business side, and being, an associate rep with the players union and going to those meetings and understanding about the state of the game and where it's headed and the players, and tying that with the feeling that, like, I always wanted to impart a little bit of what I had, the experiences that I had, to the next generation. Mainly the failures, there's a whole lot more of them than the successes, and what I learned and what I was able to gain and grasp. And you learn and you go through these bumps, and sometimes you look up and you're like, man, I wish I had known that earlier. I should have known that earlier. But sometimes you go into it blind, and to marry the two. My wife really pushed for it because it gives me a lot of flexibility at home. So I decided to take a job with the agency that represented me, Ballinger Group. And Stu, Lonergan well, and Scott being my agent for the last 9 years is I couldn't think of a better person to learn from, and just good human being. And I feel like I'm able to do this in a space and do it the right way, and do it in a way where it's always about the player. It's the player's game, and it always will be. So to be able to help the next generation navigate those waters that, all that matters is in between the white lines. I don't want to be dealing with anything else, but sometimes we get so caught up in that moment, and it can take away from what you're doing and what's in front of you. Like, I look back at the last 10 years of my life and I'm like, man, like, I wish I had slowed down a little bit. I wish I had taken a little bit more time just to focus on, now what's in front of me, what's real, instead of worrying about, if it's arbitration or free agency or, even the draft when I'm coming out of, college, because that sure was not happening out of high school, 145 pounds of me. So yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunity. The biggest thing, like I said, the clubhouse that's what I loved. I love the relationship. So I get to have those relationships in a way that it's mentoring, and it's all while learning the business side of baseball, being an agent, dealing with certain things. And I make no mistake, I understand that it's a long journey, it's a long process, but I'm patient, and I'm excited about it, and there's a whole lot to learn, and I'm got my notepad open, man. I'm ready to learn. So that's why I'm here in Cary. I'm down here watching some of the young bucks, and I tell you what, baseball's in good hands. From watching the College World Series, I think I might have hit 220 in college baseball now. Everybody's throwing 98. And then I watch these kids who are in high school, and I'm like, golly, man, golly. If I didn't retire when I did, they would have made me retire. So
I don't know about that. It's good to keep you in baseball. Stu, do you have anything else? If you don't, I've got something.
No,
all right.
I got nothing. I think this is just great,
I know.
having the opportunity to sit here and talk with Chad. And you're right, man. The group of people that you're working with, they're great people. I enjoy, the time that I've had to spend with them and have conversations and talk about you with them. And so now, I can tell you this, man. I got into the industry in 2003, and my first client was Eric Chavez. And, then there was a host of other guys. But, what I know about you is the mentorship, the leadership, the things that you will be able to give these guys on the field, and how they embrace the game. And you just said it, man, to take a step back and enjoy the game a little bit more while you're in it. That's going to be valuable to those kids, and I'm wishing you the best in it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Stu, more than you know, man. I always told Lonergan, man, like that. Everybody that talk about you, man, I look up to you, man. I got so much respect for you, and you're somebody that I hold in the highest regard, man. And I can't thank you enough for the interactions we had over the years, man. It meant a lot to me.
Well, Chad, I'm only here to say I'm a bit disappointed that you're on to something else already.
You were pretty cool too, Brody.
Well, but in a couple years, Stu might be leaving us because, he's got the Nashville Stars to be the owner of. He's going to own his own big league baseball team. So I have been looking for a replacement for Stu. Stephen Vogt got busy all of a sudden. You're busy all of a sudden.
Well, what you don't know, Brody, is when I have my Nashville Stars team here,
you're taking Chad too?
I'm going to steal him from his agency.
Come on, I can't get anybody. Honestly, Chad, it's just great to hear that you've made a good decision and you're up to something that's good and next. And let's stay in touch. And it's great to talk to you here today.
Wishing you the best, my man.
Thank you guys so much. It's awesome seeing you guys.
Good to see you.